law. What? So not American law. Next.
Majority. Republicans aren't doing anything to make life better for the American people. And that's why we're on the floor right now. There's nothing that House Republicans can do to disgrace Stacey Plaskett because House Republicans continue to disgrace themselves. And so whatever happens later on this evening, the American people will hear from Delegate Plaskett beyond this, making her case. The people of the Virgin Islands, I'm confident, will continue to stand behind her. And we will never be lectured on issues related to accountability and transparency and principle and ethics from this group of extreme House Republicans who continue to visit a national nightmare on the American people, bending the knee to a wannabe king, doing real harm in real time, and at the end of the day, your time is coming as well. I yield back.
Chairman yields.
Hey, how much time do we have, Mr. Speaker?
Gentleman has 4.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. All members are again reminded, including Minority Leader, to direct your comments to the chair. All members are again instructed, including Minority Leader, to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the President. The gentleman from Maryland seeks recognition.
No, we'll reserve.
Gentleman from Maryland reserves. Gentleman from South Carolina.
Speaker, I find it interesting that the Minority Leader mentioned that, got a not really a majority. I will tell you, 77 million people are a majority. They rendered the consequences to elect the president that has revived this country from a disaster 4 years under the Biden administration. Let's go back under a little bit of history here about the hearing. The messages show that Plaskett texted Epstein before the hearings that started that day at 7:55. She texted him, the sex offender, the predator on the children she says she protects. They had comments like she told Ms. Plaskett talk about his grades. She mentioned that she had a great looking outfit. This is from Mr. Epstein. In 10:40, she broadcast a feed cut to Ms. Plaskett showing her moving her mouth as if she was chewing something. And Ms. Plaskett mentioned that she had multiple texts. Well, according to the records, and I don't know how many of her texts came from those convicted of felonies, but on at 2:25, Epstein sent 2:25 minutes before Plaskett began questioning Cohen at 2:28. Epstein messaged back, "Good work," at 2:34, 1 minute after Plaskett finished her question to Cohen. So the whole 5 minutes was pretty much conducted under the direction of a convicted pedophile. And this dialogue, Ms. Plaskett was reached by phone Thursday. Plaskett declined to answer questions about the text messages and directed all inquiries to congressional staff. Plaskett's chief of staff said Thursday she was not in a position to confirm or not whether the Congresswoman was texting with Mr. Epstein at the hearing. She did not respond to follow-up questions. Bottom line, these are facts. These are text messages. This wasn't smoke and mirrors. So it's interesting that they're taking that tact. But, Ms. Speaker, how much time do I have left?
Gentleman has 6.5 minutes remaining.
I reserve.
Gentleman from South Carolina reserves. Gentleman from Maryland.
I'm yielding 1 minute to the representative from New York, Ms. Clark.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of the Congressional Black Caucus, the conscience of the Congress, in strong opposition to this resolution. This resolution is a blatantly partisan, shameless attack. As we sit here today, Donald Trump is still the single person in this country with the authority and the ability to deliver justice to survivors and truth to the American people by just releasing the files. So instead of answering why Donald Trump chooses every single day not to release the Epstein files, they're pointing fingers at this side of the aisle. Mr. Speaker, unlike the president, Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett has committed no crime, violated no rule, and broken no promises. There has been no investigation, no due process, no inquiry into whether the Congresswoman had any connection whatsoever to Epstein's despicable and disgusting criminal conduct. This resolution would have us remove a capable and hardworking member of one of the most serious working committees in this body on the basis of a conversation from more than 6 years ago, which broke no rules, and has no connection to any criminal activity. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this partisan resolution, this sham, and I yield back.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
We reserve.
Gentleman from Maryland reserves. Gentleman from South Carolina.
Speaker, I reserve.
Gentleman from South Carolina reserves.
And we're prepared to close.
It's closed.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to close.
All right. Gentleman from South Carolina is prepared to close. Maryland is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I want to start by addressing the young people who appear to be in the audience this evening, because I'm afraid some of my arguments are lost on some of our colleagues across the aisle suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. It seems to have completely warped their minds today, and they're not thinking clearly about the Constitution or about the rule of law. But the young people here will recognize, if they read this resolution, immediately what's wrong with it, because it's replete with phrases like this, that this one incident that they're referring to raises serious questions about the judgment and the integrity and the fitness to serve. Well, I think that's absurd, but in any event, if you think it raises serious questions, presumably you would want the answers to those questions. But you don't get answers by rushing to judgment and turning the whole process upside down. This resolution starts by saying we censure her, we remove her from committee, and the very next component of it says we direct the Committee on Ethics to conduct an investigation. That is the opposite of due process, and I hope at least future generations will understand that's not how we hold people accountable, whether it's under criminal law, under civil law, or under an ethics process, which they purport to want to be launching here. Again, go back to the George Santos standard. The reason we voted against just hanging him out to dry and censoring him and expelling him is because the process hadn't happened yet. And Democrats and Republicans together did it, but they're thinking in solely partisan terms. Even Matt Gaetz, accused of having sex with a 17-year-old, was never censured by the House of Representatives. Even with Speaker McCarthy and others condemning him for what he did, we did not censure him. Think about what you're doing to the precedents of this body by trying to attack Ms. Plaskett. And let me just close with a personal thought. I wasn't going to bring it up because I didn't want to embarrass her, but she was one of the 3 finest students I ever had in constitutional law. She was a straight A student in the early 1990s. She's a straight A student in the 21st century. I'm proud not only that she was my student, but that she's my friend and that she's my colleague, and you don't disgrace us in any way. You go to work every day for the people of Virgin Islands, and we're proud of you. With that, I'll yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from South Carolina is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I find it interesting that the president is occupying the minds of my good friend on the left rent-free. And it's interesting they bring him up every time, and keep doing it. Keep doing it. This president's got a record that is second to none. And I hope our listeners in the audience can distinguish between just words and babbling on when they reject the facts of what's been presented. Texts don't lie. And they can offer all the excuses. And I do think Ms. Plaskett is a nice lady. She made a mistake here, a bad mistake. She took advice from a convicted pedophile that is indefensible in this discussion here today. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to my colleagues defend the indefensible. I've heard everything from this is old news to this is just politics. But not a single person has disputed the key fact. Written records in Epstein's own estate documents show Delegate Plaskett sought his input for an official hearing. This is the issue, that alone. Everything else is just noise. This chamber cannot overlook that a sitting member of Congress coordinated with a convicted sex offender to prepare questions for an official proceeding. Imagine telling the American people that that's acceptable. Imagine explaining to parents all across this country that Congress sees no problem with relying on the counsel of a predator of our innocent children. Some of my colleagues want to blur the edges, soften the facts, or bury this under procedural fog, noise as I call it. But sunlight is the best disinfectant, and accountability is not optional. This resolution is not excessive at all. It is appropriate. It is measured. It is necessary at this time. The question before us is very simple. Do we uphold a minimal standard for ethical conduct, or do we just shrug and say, well, maybe next time? Mr. Speaker, the public deserves better. The House deserves better. The American people deserve better. I urge adoption of this resolution, and I yield the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields. Without objection, the previous question is ordered on the resolution. The question is on the adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Yeah. Welcome to procedural democracy.
For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
I request a recorded vote, and I challenge the Speaker's interpretation of the voice vote.
Does the gentleman ask for the yeas and nays?
I ask for the ayes and the nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed. Okay. For what purpose does the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Westerman, seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Resolution 879, I call up H.J. Res. 130 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
The clerk will report the title of the joint resolution.
House Joint Resolution 130, Joint Resolution providing for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5 United States Code of the rules submitted by the Bureau of Land Management relating to Buffalo Field Office Record of Decision and Approved Resource Management Plan Amendment.
Pursuant to House Resolution 879, the joint resolution is considered read. The joint resolution shall be debatable for 1 hour, equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on Natural Resources or their respective designees. The gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Westman, and the gentleman from California, Mr. Huffman, each will control 30 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Westerman.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and to include extraneous material on H.J. Res. 130.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
I rise in strong support of H.J. Res. 130, which would repeal the Bureau of Land Management's Misguided Resource Management Plan, or RMP, amendment for the Buffalo Field Office in Wyoming, which was finalized in the twilight hours of the Biden-Harris administration. Wyoming's Powder River Basin currently supplies 40% of the nation's coal. The RMP amendment in question effectively halted future federal coal leasing across a region in Wyoming larger than New Jersey and located in the heart of America's coal country. Without repeal, the RMP amendment will end coal production in the region entirely by 2041 and close 12 active mines. The RMP amendment is a death blow to America's energy security, Wyoming's workers, and the economic backbone of the state itself. It is projected that U.S. electricity demand will grow by as much as 128 gigawatts through 2029, and global energy demand is expected to double by 2050. Coal is reliable, affordable, and essential to meet the increasing power demands of the AI revolution and advanced manufacturing. The RMP amendment locked up an astonishing 48 billion short tons of coal. That's enough to meet U.S. coal demand for the next 116 years. 92% of Wyoming's coal is exported to other states, helping keep the lights on and utility prices affordable in distant places as far as Texas, Illinois, and my home state of Arkansas. Nationwide, residential electricity prices have increased by 13% since 2022, and overturning misguided policies like this RMP amendment will help make the cost of living more affordable for families across America. It's time to unleash our domestic resources to put this money back into the pockets of American families by repealing the Biden administration's anti-American energy policies. What's more, instead of working with the state, the Biden administration blatantly ignored local opposition at every stage of this process and rammed this RMP amendment through to appease environmental extremists. The Biden administration provided a limited opportunity for public comment or engagement on this RMP amendment. Wyoming's governor, unified congressional delegation, locally elected officials, tribes, and local communities all expressed strong opposition to this plan amendment. The previous administration ignored them all. According to local representatives, it is suspect and disturbing that such a